How many gods I have to kill today? Everyone knows Sentry is one of the most powerful beings in Marvel, a man so terrifying and strong that even gods don't know how to handle him. But did you know that he's actually gone toe-to-toe with him? Even facing Thor himself in the comic book Siege, Norman Osborn, better known as the Green Goblin, is put in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D., which he renames Hammer. You see, after the alien Skrulls infiltrated Earth, their queen was leading the invasion, so the heroes tried to stop them. But it was Norman Osborn who delivered the final kill shot, and because every news network was broadcasting it live, the world began praising him as Earth's savior, a man who gets things done. Furious at Tony Stark, the government decided to replace him with Osborn. Wasting no time, Norman formed the Dark Avengers, a team made up of murderers and criminals disguised as heroes at Venom, posing as Spider-Man, Bullseye pretending to be Hawkeye, Docking playing Wolverine, and even Sentry. But here, he's not the hero we know, because his body is controlled by the Void, his dark and destructive alter ego. So now, with the Dark Avengers under his command and the US government backing him, Osborn sets his sights on Asgard, because in his mind, nothing would cement his power more than proving he can take down gods themselves. We always knew that was going to be the case. At the same time, he is also being manipulated by Loki, and at this point in Marvel's history, Asgard isn't even in its own realm, since Thor rebuilt it on Earth after it was destroyed in Ragnarok, and now it's literally floating above a small town in Oklahoma, making it the perfect target for Norman. At first, Norman asked the government for support, but they refused, calling the idea of starting a war with Asgard insane. In response, Loki proposed staging an incident that would shift public perception against the Asgardians, and that's when we see an Asgardian warrior and Thor's friend Volstagg riding on his horse. Loki explains that Volstagg is a mighty warrior with a big heart who is now traveling across America, so they decide to set him up and instruct a group of villains to attack him in public. Volstagg manages to fight off their attacks, but when he looks up, he sees that their assault has left the entire stadium engulfed in flames. Norman immediately calls the president, pinning the blame on Asgard, and Loki instantly congratulates him, declaring that he now has the perfect excuse to launch his attack, assemble the Avengers, and the full roster of the Initiative. We're invading Asgard. Norman immediately begins devising his plan and even tries to recruit Ares, the god of war. Ares flatly refuses, explaining that the Asgardian gods are his friends, and even threatens to kill Norman if he dares to invade them. However, Norman manipulates him by lying that Loki now rules Asgard and has sinister intentions, prompting Ares to reluctantly join his team. He then goes to his Dark Avengers and explains his plan, but many of them immediately refuse, saying that invading Asgard is insane. But Norman threatens them with prison, reminding them that many of the Dark Avengers joined him to avoid incarceration. He then tells them that if they do this for him, they will all be free. And so, shortly after this, and some additional recruiting, the invasion of Asgard begins. As Norman looks up, he notices Thor coming, who instantly aims for him until Sentry shows up and stops him. As Thor tries to get up, Norman quickly tells everyone to hit him with everything they have, but even as they attack, Thor still manages to keep up, simply asking how they dare invade his home. At the same time, we see that all of this is being broadcast live, and that's when we see Captain America watching what's happening. As Ares continues fighting, Heimdall appears and reveals that he's been manipulated and deceived by Osborn. He urges Ares to look around at the destruction he's caused to his own friends, and as Ares does, he quickly realizes the grave mistake he's made. At the same time, Thor lies bloody and beaten, unable to rise as Osborn declares him under arrest. But suddenly, a rocket slams into Osborn and his men, blasting them away as Maria Hill, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., arrives to the rescue. And that's when we learn that she's been tending to Tony Stark, who's still recovering from his injuries after battling Osborn in an older suit weeks ago. Thor punches them away, but collapses to his knees, so Maria rushes him into the back of the truck and they make a quick escape. Unable to watch any longer, Captain America decides to take matters into his own hands. He declares that it's time to take the country back, and as he finishes his speech, we see that he was talking to the real Avengers and other well-known heroes. You lied. At the same time, Ares manages to reach Osborn. I did what I had to do to get you in the battle, and as Ares tries to kill him, Sentry shows up. Ares tries to get up and tell Sentry that he thought they were friends, but Sentry, completely taken over by the Void, doesn't even respond. Ares tries to fight back, but is unable to do anything. Sentry then grabs Ares by the throat and kills him. Other superheroes try to reach Osborn while Thor, now back on his feet, tells him that he won't hide from him. Osborn then instructs Sentry to kill Thor, but when Osborn looks up, he notices something, and bit by bit, we see Captain America's shield coming straight for his head. Avengers assemble. An epic battle between the real and fake heroes begins. But as everyone fights, how many gods I have to kill today? Thor hits Sentry with his hammer, but as he leaps for another swing, he notices Sentry's body twisting and the void erupting out of him. Osborn starts blasting at Captain, but when Captain manages to hit Osborn with his shield, both of them look up and see Tony Stark standing there saying that the armor Osborn stole from him is about to be shut down. So Tony shuts down his suit, and Osborn falls to his knees, screaming for Sentry to stop them all. And that's when we see Sentry quickly leaving Thor and then throwing his guard. Osborn gets up, destroys his suit, and reveals his Green Goblin persona, screaming at them, but Spidey doesn't even care as he simply, "Oh, will you shut up?" Osborn falls down, rambling and threatening to kill them all, while Thor tries to learn more about Loki, but Osborn interrupts him again, telling them to look up and declaring that they're all dead now because, with one swing, the void knocks away all the heroes. As Loki watches, he tries to speak to his father, admitting that he knows he screwed up and that he never realized how strong the void could become. To give everyone a chance against him, he uses the Stones of Norn, which greatly enhance everyone's powers. Every hero launches an attack on the Void, who tells them they aren't fighting fair. He seizes the moment and moves in close, but the Void unleashes his power, blasting everyone back. As Thor watches, Loki looks at him, says that he's sorry, and dies. While the heroes try to stop the Void, Captain tracks down Osborn and asks him what they can do to stop him. But Osborn tells him that there's nothing they can do. But that's when Tony tells everyone that he has a plan, as he instructs everyone to evacuate from the helicarrier flying above, saying he's turning it into a bullet. The explosion distracts Captain, giving Osborn a chance to run, but Volstagg stops him as the dust settles. Thor and Iron Man turn toward the blast site and see Sentry. Now simply Bob lying there, Thor tells him they won't, but Bob with tears in his eyes begs them, as Thor reminds him he'll still answer for his crimes. Bob is suddenly overtaken by the Void once more and unleashes a devastating blast. Thor reacts instantly, seizing his hammer and striking the Void with such force that it kills him. Without a word spoken and without hesitation, Thor lifts Bob's body and carries it into space, and in the final panels, we see Thor near the sun, quietly releasing Bob's body into its blazing heart.